We are back in session, so I think you were finished off, was it the 65, 15, 525 count?
Yes, we are done. We are on page 125 for EMS.
Yep.
6520. The 40-00 travel and per diem, again, this is related to the out-of-state travel being reinstituted back for conferences. 4601, maintenance contract, 17,242, an increase to annual service contracts that are prepaid. This was due to newly implemented software programs and annual renewal increases that are related to such maintenance contracts, causing the increase. 40-02, vehicle maintenance, 35,000. The department reports experiencing increased vehicle maintenance costs because of the fleet, anticipating these maintenance issues with the current reserve fleet, and then the department has been working again to getting exhausted fleet rotated and replaced.
Just a question, Jason. We spoke earlier. These are such far out potential to get a vehicle or something like that. Do they require any down payments when we do it? So just hypothetically, it's like, we know it's 3 years, let's order 5 vehicles.
Well, twofold. That in some respects makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're replacing your fleet, you're getting a fleet up to date. Unfortunately, in some respects, it also hurts the department as far as, particularly with our rescues. Our current rescue manufacturer provides a remount process where we take the ambulance box, the part where the patient rides in the back, off of one chassis. They sandblast it, clean it all up, make it brand new pretty much, bring it up to modern codes, and puts it on the next chassis for us. If we were to order, say, 5 new ones now, that would completely throw that remount program off because we wouldn't be able to use those same boxes. Additionally, what that would cause is long-term effects, and I could be wrong, Wendy could probably correct me if I am. Instead of us having the vehicle purchases staged out, so we're not down 1 or 2 or 3 or even 5 in this case at one time, we have them staggered, so we're consistently bringing new models into the fleet, so we don't say we get one that has a major safety recall. We're not wiping out our entire fleet at one time. So yeah, we're looking at all the avenues. I mean, we're in uncharted territory when it comes to the ordering, delivering, and arrival of emergency apparatus.
And you have to have
Your
fun.
hands are tied. You guys don't have any, it's out of your control. I just didn't know if we can just, hey, let's just shoot some orders out. If they say, hell yeah, we're gonna get it in 3 years, then can we budget accordingly? I hear what you're saying. I'm trying to think of it.
Right, and I had a discussion with Wendy yesterday. As a matter of fact, as far as our next new fire truck, which I believe is under the capital plan, you'll see that, with that fire truck, we're hoping to have it on the last council agenda meeting of this year. So after the budget's approved, hopefully they'll approve that pending the new budget, because they're projecting a 9% increase in fire apparatus sometime between October and December.
I can only imagine.
So by prepaying, we get a discount. By ordering ahead of that 9% increase, it's money. I won't say we're saving money, it's just money not spent, per se.
And you have to have available fund balance to do what you're talking about. Cash is beside the point. So you can't spend $5 million, even if you're not actually going to pay it out for 3 years, unless you have $5 million worth of fund balance, because you have to do a requisition and a purchase order, which becomes an encumbrance, which is money spent.
No, I'm just, it's just they're in quite a bind.
We're open to all ideas, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely, I'm not turning any ideas away.
I'm sure you guys have thought well beyond my,
I do have a question. Have we looked at private companies for this, or we only look at companies that have been contracted with the government?
Realistically, it's such a small niche market that if it's one that makes it for private companies, they make them for the public market also. Ambulances, particularly ours, they're dual purpose. They're not just your normal ambulance like you might see with AMR or some of these private ones, because they do carry firefighting equipment on them. They're a little bit different because all our guys are dual cert. In the future, if we ever go down the road of getting single certified trucks, I might look at going that route. But again, there's a lot of extra equipment that we carry that those private systems don't carry, because they're not responding to 911 calls more often than not. They're responding to interfacility transports from, say, a nursing home to a hospital to a nursing home, that kind of thing.
That makes sense.
And we work closely with the fire department to, like, beat price increases like he's referring to. I mean, that's how we save $400,000 on our ladder truck, by ordering it a little bit before we actually need it. We've maximized our usage of the 120, 1% surcharge fund to do exactly just that.
But
And
Tal-
then, just add some of the conversations that just happened today, and future strategic plans for the financial sustainability goals that we have. We're talking about, working with Fleet right now, that I'd like them to look at standardizing what is it that we keep and do, just to negate some of the variables, not necessarily to say, hey, this is what you have to have, but to avoid, like, hey, are we getting stock F-150s, right? Because if we get a 150 with super grade tires that cost you 340 cents, we eat up potential rev that we could use for this. Both myself and the deputy loathe debt that is not used strategically. So we have done this by streamlining the 120 for capital, infrastructure with that. And the goal is to, this bridge that we've built, their deputy chief of operations, Chief Urban, talks to us all the time, letting us know just the pulse, as well as the chief telling us where he wants to go with it, so that just financing doesn't become the hurdle, because we already have the hurdle of just raw material, the economy in itself and stuff. So we're trying to find new ways to navigate, and kind of see what other people are doing too on the fleet side. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. 5,200 operating supplies. Again, 26,872, factoring in some inflation for costs, medical supplies, and equipment. 55 in training, 38,826. Annual certification renewal cycle. This is also related to the addition of a specialized Train the Trainer course for acute coronary syndrome and stroke, CVAs. So that is training increases. 6,400 equipment and machinery, 88,660. This is for new purchases of medical equipment for expanded, as well as some replacement equipment. Finally, fire prevention, 6525 at 336,696. 5601 maintenance contracts for 15,008. Increase is being related to the proration from those prepaid contracts being off cycle that we talked about and aligning them to the fiscal year. And 5210 grant funded, 18,000 grant % match for the safety trailer via AFG is the relation to that cost increase. And that walks us into Public Works. Public Works, starting on page 129. First variance on 130, this is for the Civil Engineering Division, maintenance contracts in the amount of $16,750. Annual maintenance contract for Trackit was added. An increase in the City Works annual maintenance contract was also factored and is a driver for that increase. In streets and drainage, page 131 through 132, 931,176 in expenditures, and all are standard based on salary and burn increases for the variances. 134 is the page for traffic control, variance on 135, and first is 5,200 for operating supplies at 25,462. These are upgrades that will be conducted to the school flasher. 6,400 in machinery and equipment, an increase in 67,500. They're replacing 2 message boards and a sign table, and a new new traffic sign lift. Moving on to the Department of Parks and Rec, starting at 136 through 137 for parks at $1,821,000. Repairs and maintenance is the first 4,600, difference increase of 53,940. Projects through the Streets Department, Triangle Park property acquisition, increase in sports field maintenance, and so these costs are related to repairs and maintenance that need to happen for expansion. In 6,400, equipment and machinery, 342,676. There's going to be a pour in place safety surfacing for playgrounds, the resodding of the soccer fields and ball fields. They're replacing the cantilever for the gates for the soccer, the robotic field liner for the sports fields, the outdoor litter vacuum for the sport complexes, and other park property.
This is, by the way, this is one of the areas we wanted to visit likewise. Just last meeting we had, many of us, and particularly me, have no idea how many parks we really have and all of these needs to be able to visually see.
Yes,
A
sir.
little better idea.
And just to update you, I made the command decision that because we had new members coming on board, we wanted to catch all of you, so we were going to hold to kind of let everybody kind of catch up, get acclimated, and then we'll schedule that for parks and everything. We talked about the ranch and all the other resumes for that. And we'll talk to the director on that and what time they can do. Moving on to 7520 Recreation on page 139. Page 141 is your variances, 3,400 is other contractual services, 37.2 is the increase. There was an increase in the cost of the 4th of July fireworks, the DJ services, and the summer camp field trip busing. The insurance at element number 4,500, increase of 10,496. These are the insurance rates that increase and are prorated to the departments and divisions. 4,600 repairs and maintenance, 11,700. They're replacing 3 compartment sanitary sinks at Hopkins Park and painting at the Civic Center. In operating supplies, 5,200, 39,468. Security cameras are being put in for the ranch and the community center and added additional city events, and the cost of just goods goods and services have increased. 52-04, these are in the category of the field trips. 10,691 is an increase due to the addition of homeschool and senior day trips. 6,400, final one here for them, equipment and machinery, 51,480. This is per the fire department, turnkey public safety system for Gym B and the community center, replacement of an SUV vehicle.
What's the public safety system? What is that?
For the gym?
Yeah. Is that a card reader system or something? Or?
Is that like a DOS system or something?
I'm going to take a stab on this since Jason's not here. It's something that has to do with the fire marshal, and it has to do, so their radios will work inside.
It's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Oh, it's like a repeater
Same
or
thing
something?
for,
Repeater,
It's a
that's what it
repeater
is.
inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
same
That's that
thing for City
BDA
Hall.
The BDA
The
system,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
All right.
an amplifier.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's basically what it is, while they're in the building, so they can get radio signal.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
7530, the pool, 1,332,98. 34-01 is the element instructors commission. This is $12,000 for instructor commissions that need to be paid out. 6,200 in buildings, 275,000 is the increase. It's to remodel the interior bathrooms and fix the plumbing.
For what? By the pool
Aquatics
area?
division, yes. And 6,400 equipment and machinery, $20,000. This is to replace the ADA lifts.
They broken? Or is there a requirement?
Being ADA, I'm going to defer to Stephanie, but yes, it would be, and then replacing, I don't think they're broken.
Well,
but
no,
they
I'm
need
just saying, is
replacing,
it every 5 years we got to replace it no matter what and type of deal?
right? I'm pretty,
No, we only have one that is currently working. We have to have 2 ADA lifts, so it's just we're replacing both of them because they are at least 10 years old.
Jason's back, by the way.
We took care of you, though.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Good?
Yeah,
Okay.
just curious.
Turf and landscape, no additional other than the city variances. Landscape maintenance and beautification, 7540. Budget of 707, 696, 3,400. Other contractual services, 11,486. The increase is due to pesticide cost and security for the city events. In 6,400, equipment and machinery, 59,580. It's a 60 kilowatt trailer mounted generator that is required for events and the F-150 pickup truck.
Just the one above it, 3,400, increase in pesticides and security, like, seems a little,
How are they
Oh, they're
related?
different, yeah. So currently, in this division, anything that has to do with the city's major special events, so 4th of July, New Year's Eve, all of those special events come out of this division because that's where the special event manager is currently located. But I've already spoken with Coop. After this budget, we're going to get all that stuff moved into recreation, where it should be.
yeah, okay.
That is variances for that. In 7550, this is a special rec, any facility and/or marina, the bank and banquet. That's page 150, 151, and 152 through 153. No variances to report. That is your general fund.
Awesome.
Okay. The following is your 420, 430, which we're not reviewing.
Okay.
It is a parallel budget. It begins on page, let me flip to after water and sewers, where we will start.
191.
Page 191. This is the 440 fund. This is sanitation. Page 191, this is for in sanitation for the Public Works Collection, 771 Department and Division. 3,100 professional services, 2,530. The explanation for such increase is that there is a consultant to assist with billing upgrades that need to be addressed with billing and TWA, the Toho Water transition. So there's a consultant needed to review the billing process that they're going to require because we keep the commercial billing. Eventually, we're trying to see if we're going to do the residential state goes on the tax rolls eventually, but the commercial stays with us. A consultant to make sure that they can vet the whole system and what they need to do for billing procedures. So that's the increase. 3,400 other contractual services, 215,536. This is for the increased cost of the scales for the tonnage being done. 4602 vehicle maintenance, 138. Preventive maintenance on all fleet vehicles. This is based on the schedules listed for PM on the fleet we have for sanitation. 49-69, this is admin charges allocated. This is reflective of additional support for other city department. This is just the allocated admin charges that the sanitation transfers out. 52-02 vehicle fuel, 168.9. These are the increased costs due to not only just fuel costs, but in additional vehicles and routes.
When you talk about maintenance of vehicles, the fleet, how many vehicles are we talking? Just for curiosity's sake.
I don't know the count. I don't have it. Do you know?
For the whole fleet or just that
No,
fund?
just-
Well, we're saying we're doing maintenance for 138,000, so I'm hoping there's a lot of vehicles involved.
There's a lot of expensive side loader trucks.
Well, no, that's what, I'm just curious what the number is.
We currently have 10 routes that we're running. We're going to add one more in this next budget year. Like I said, for the investors for residential collection. We also do, we have 3 front-end loaders to be able to go around and get dumpsters and that sort of stuff. We also have equipment on site that helps do some of the other stuff on site also. So we do run quite a few very large, expensive pieces of equipment that, unfortunately, we deferred maintenance for a long time, so we are still trying to play catch-up, and we do have an aging fleet also.
Do you see yourself having the same issue as fire with trying to order equipment, or is it a little easier on your end?
We do. It's anywhere from 18 to 24 months on any truck, and the way we're growing right now, we need to add between 1 and 2 routes every year just to be able to keep up with growth. So it is something that's why we're currently leasing some of the vehicles. We're to be able to do that to be able to help get caught up on maintenance, but also to be able to add routes also. The good part is we did implement an impact fee this past year, which is helping us be able to purchase new vehicles. It's just a matter of getting them to be able to come in, but we are trying to be able to keep up the best we can.
Thank you.
Are we responsible for any maintenance costs for these leased?
Yes, sir. There is, when we get them and we turn them back in, we are required to be able to do the maintenance on them and be able to do that. There is some we're responsible for, but they're also responsible for some also. So it's kind of a mix, but we are responsible to maintain certain things that are done on there.
So it's more cost-effective to still be purchasing rather than leasing?
Yes, sir. Like I said, the only reason why we're released right now is because we're not able to get the vehicles as quickly as we can. And then we also deferred major maintenance on a lot of our vehicles because we kept running them all the time. And so we were actually able to take some of them offline and actually go and get them get actual annual maintenance done on them that hadn't been done in years. So we were just trying to catch up. So like I said, there was a mix of adding routes and also trying to just catch up on some of the vehicle maintenance that has been deferred.
These leases, is there any lease to own, or is that not a part of the process?
It's really tough, like I said, because it's hard enough to be able to try to buy them, and like I said, so it's ones where, like I said, they're really good at leasing us because they'll lease to us and then they end up selling them other places also, as used ones. They're pretty much getting them. It's just like other vehicles you have out there right now. You can buy a new truck or a used truck, and they pretty much are going to be the same thing just because people need them.
We also wanted to note a key factor in that too is we got to remember these are enterprise funds, so they have to make money in order to reinvest into capital. And some of the fees right now don't cover the cost of business all the time to be in that pace to just buy. So in the 5-year capital, there's projected 2 tranches of funding for about $3 million a pop, to get fleet and, eventually, right? Aside from the supply chain issues, but we got to remember that cyclical thing because we're kind of training them that, hey, while they want to, and they have their schedule, they maintain them, they try to do what they can do. It's also related that they have to have the cash, because they run like a business, right? So they got to have it to do it. One of the implementations that was done was the 490 fund, which is impact fee funds to reinvest into capital. And that's, something the deputy, kind of worked out to start that savings program and reinvesting into capital. But we're still fixing those deltas too to make sure that we help them because you put a route, but there's a cost to do business for that. The route doesn't automatically give you revenue to just inject back. There's a cost to do. So just being fair too, because they got a lot of issues they got to manipulate aside from just running the operations. So we're monitoring them and helping them with that to ensure we can get them what they need and stay operationally efficient.
Another strategy that we're going to implement as soon as we can get it worked out, as you know, on the water bill, you have solid waste and stormwater. So that's more likely going to go on the tax rolls. So that's to be approved by the city council. And then you get your money front loaded. So you'll get your solid waste money up front off the tax rolls. So because we get this monthly transfer of money off the billing into the solid waste fund. So I think we can do a better job doing that. So that's another strategy we've looked at. We're kind of forcing our hand because of the Toho integration, but we think that's a good strategy also.
Very good.
All right, moving on to the transfer station, $7,768,865 variances on page 194. 3,400 other contractual services, again, $522,726. Cost of the scales for the tonnage that is being processed and done. 4,100 comm services and accessories, $18,260. Purchasing 6 new radios. And 4969, that's just your allocated admin charges reflecting the additional support. They were saying to the city department, this is their admin allocation for the proportional share of support that they receive. 52-02, this is vehicle fuel. Again, the increase of fuel costs and the additional tonnage that they'll be hauling with an increase of 55,150. Moving on to 196 is capital, so we'll review. Huh?
201.
Thank you. 200 is the end of storm streets and drainage. This is stormwater fund, 450, 2,031,528. Variance pay is on page 201. Allocated admin charges, again, reflective to the support that is received. The enterprise fund pays for $148,189. $5,200 in operating supplies, $10,000 increase on cost of materials. They're also purchasing 9 tablets to implement city works in the field. $5,300 road materials and supplies, $13,247. This is related to the cost of materials related in the service of road materials and supplies. Fund 450, this is just your administrative transfers and capital projects on 202, 203. Sorry, I'm looking. We are on page 205. This is your building fund, fund number 460. That is your revenue on top. And then 206 and 207. Total building fund budget, $3,937,625. The only anomaly is the 49 variance on page 208, 49-69, the allocated admin charges at $34,445. Again, this is an enterprise fund which pays for the services allocated for the administration of their fund. That's 210, 211 for 460, 60. 470, that starts at page 212. We are not needing to discuss. These are 470 and 480 are the water and sewer impact funds, which will be transitioning over in the new fiscal year. So that will walk us across 212 through 219. On page 220, we are at 220 is the sanitation impact fee fund. That's the 490. 221, only variance is located on page 222. It is on the 6,400 element for equipment and machinery at $106,799. They are purchasing an additional side loader truck and, of course, the factoring the increase in price for such loader. 223, 225, page 225 is motor pool. This is 510 is your fund or fleet. Budget of $2,380,562. 46-02, page 228, first variance is for the work order clearing account. $80,253 is the increase. It's updated due to the projected of cost and spending, to work orders that they're going to be processing. 49-69, again, allocated admin charges. These are additional support provided by other city departments, and this is the increase of $37,534 to cover support.
For the, say, various fleet maintenance, do we have, as a city, just one single maintenance, or does each one of the, say, the sanitation, the police, the fire, have their own maintenance group? So what I'm saying is that, is there one place that we can bring the city trucks, cars, whatever, to be fixed, or is it jobbed out?
Yes, sir. No, we have one division, and we're at the joint use facility over there off of Communication. It is where we house all of our vehicle maintenance techs. We try to be able to do as much as we can in-house, but we do have to be able to contract out some of the work. There are certain things that like for example, the fire department has certain apparatuses that we're not able to work on. So we have to have certified people to be able to work on it. So we have a contract for that. Certain body work we can't do. So like I said, so we actually do try to do as much as we can in-house, but like I said, but we do have to have consultants be able to help us out with certain aspects of vehicle maintenance. But we do currently have just one location for all vehicles to be able to come through. It's kind of a clearinghouse for all the vehicles in the city and equipment.
Okay, thank you.
There was an addition to your book. In the following are your internal funds. This is your health insurance, workers' comp funds, your internal funds, and we were missing the revenue sheet, so we just added it or gave it to you. Might not got a copy of it. Anyway, we'll add it to this, but the revenue part was listed there. The medical. 7,216,576, an increase of 51,105 overall, which we talked about the increase in care with that in our claims. So 3101, the first variance under page 232 is the Medicare physical. This is the medical claims increase that we projected. We talked to Brown & Brown. We have the financial model. They give us an update in their projections, and they're the subject matter experts on what that will increase, so then we absorb and prepare for that impact. Our demographics are getting older, again, and the cost of getting some of the medical procedures are higher, and then so we're monitoring those as we go. 525, this is your workers' compensation budget, 754,576, just an increase of 6% across the board. Variance for that on page 235, this is an increase of 26,009. This is related to excess workers' compensation, the annual increase that we have been given through projections from our broker. I'm on page 236, Economic Development. This is Fund 630. Economic Development, this is 346,774 is the budget. Variances, excuse me, I'm trying to flip and talk. No variances to report over $10,000. Moves us to page 240. Your Community Development Agency Fund, or your CRA, 1,450,078. Flipping here. Variance is located on page 243 in the element of 49-69, 22,314. This is just the increase in allocated ad cost across the city. That is your schedule of GLs across all impact, general fund, special revenue, and then we have just the other schedules which will cover just reporting on personnel, capital, and then fund balance. First page is page 245, giving you your total numbers by departments and division as we stand right now. Total amount sitting for current year is 767 employees. We're anticipating the reduction of 113 environmental utilities positions and the increase of a total of 11 positions, 6 of those to the general fund, with a net effect of 662 proposed FTE positions in the city of St. Cloud for fiscal year 22-23. Page 247 takes those new positions requested to the Manning, outlines them for you. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions from public safety all the way down to that police lieutenant in the general fund, a driver collector in public works in the 440 sanitation fund, in the 450, an equipment operator and a heavy equipment operator. In 460, the building fund, the community rating system coordinator. And 510, the fleet technician, one position. And then again, the reduction or transfer of staff from environmental utilities of 113, net effect 653. That is your personnel changes by department. The page 248 just walks you through the general fund intertransfers, meaning where we get these sources of transfers to the general fund. We expect 15,540,000 in transfers coming from the tax fund, the OUC, the water, sewer, sanitation, and stormwater. That's a 7% increase from prior year. The general fund administrative allocations, these are general support to businesses, business-type funds or enterprise funds, and we allocate several cost drivers. We record them in the general fund and then expense to other funds, such as water, sewer, stormwater, motor pool, building permits, or the building fund, and CRA. 2,718,958. Page 249 is the schedule of outstanding debt for fiscal year 22-23. Issue dates on every type of debt out there are listed on the second column. The amount of drawn amount at $117,590,146. Listed in both categories are the principal and outstanding as of the 9/30/2022 timeframe, which was $65,542,27. The description of the debt listed on the left-hand side, just local option tax and those SRF or Florida Revolving Fund notes, the 1%, the water utility, the sewer utility, which debt will be transferred over as of October 1st, and mobility impact fees for the capital improvement revenue funds that were refied. Stevens Plantation, we have none, or budgeted debt service for the DSD. So for fiscal year 22-23, $7,569,457 is the call on the outstanding schedule of debt for this fiscal year.
And how much of that will be diffused by OTO? Do you know off the top of your head?
$42 million, yeah.
Do we see us taking on any more debt or for
Not-
development or?
Not in this current year, but the 5-year capital plan that you received does outline debting out $119 million in 2 tranches to be able to cover what we need to do. That would include the public safety complex, you know, and the training facilities, vehicles, things of that nature. So we do expect to do that. The 250 page, the page 250 is just a detail of everything being purchased for what department under the 120 fund or your interlocal surtax 1% fund. A total of $9,958,37. Listed there, the R in parentheses stands for replacement, so we're replacing a fleet vehicle there. If you see an A, that is a new addition to the fleet.
Go ahead.
So for finance, replacing a Dodge Charger 2014. Most of the Dodge Chargers between 2013 and 2014, it's been deemed that we need to change them out, so you'll see them throughout here. Building maintenance, they have a variety of generator, police department AC units, Ford Rangers ranging from 250 to Explorer. I'm not going to bore you with listing every. Chevy Tahoes from the police department. There's an addition. The training simulator, if you see item 20 on page 251, there's your training simulator add-on for $300,000.
And what is that?
That is a training simulator where you go do scenarios, safety scenarios like active shooter. They can train the one that
It's in a trailer, it's not a,
No, it's
No.
gonna be at a building.
it's in
I
a
was gonna
building.
say, that makes more sense.
It's the shoot, not shoot scenarios.
And it
For-
coordinates with the cameras,
Yeah.
like Deputy Chief Zilke mentioned.
The same as the county, Orange County?
Better.
Where it's in that main building that they have? Gotcha. On a platform? Okay.
So that is 250, 251, and 252, just outlining the 120 for you.
If I could just
Yes, sir.
second, Wendy, the 120 fund or the penny sales tax is going to be on the ballot this year. It actually sunsets in '24. So the county has decided, they're the ones that's championing this and put it on the ballot to be revoted in. So you'll probably be hearing about that in the next couple months as the ballot comes closer in the election, so. But it's definitely needed. You can see what we do with it. Been very responsible with it and using it strategically and, so just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing it's allowed us to do is, we're funding Fire Station 35 without the use of debt. 4 million is coming from the 120 fund, and the remainder is coming from fire impact fees, since the three of us are debt averse, for the most part. So we use the 120 fund to its fullest extent. We primarily use it for vehicle replacements, bringing the fleet up to date. It was a little bit behind. Replacing the problematic, like Dodge Chargers, they're a maintenance issue. So this will be the last of the Dodge Chargers. And then with the 1% continuing to grow, we should be able to use it for, potentially other capital-related projects, another fire station or whatnot.
I'm with you on that, referring debt. As I look on debt as just a major bondage almost. But were this 1 cent increase come about, would that reduce then the amount that we may have to borrow?
Yes.
As you said, you got on the
Yes.
5-year plan, you're looking at X amount. Were that to pass, would that then defer some of the amount we are looking that we'd have to borrow?
No, and just to make sure I got the record right, this is not an increase, a penny increase, it exists
place.
already, it's in place. We're just amending and reactivating the
Okay.
contract, just
Oh,
so,
okay.
so people don't
Okay.
think they're getting taxed another
Yeah,
penny. It's not
been
an
in place
increase.
for 20 years.
20 years, yes. So now
It's
it's,
not gonna be an 8 cent tax, it's still gonna be 7 cent, you're just re-diversifying the funds of where it lands at.
But it's already, like I said, it's already in place. It's just
Okay.
been in place for
Okay.
20 years, so we're just
Okay.
renewing that. So that needs to be made clear to the public. We're not adding a new tax. It's something that's there and it's been used.
If you can't see right here how they're doing, this is just a perfect example of what
Yeah.
that fund does and what
Yeah.
it pays for. Imagine them having to take that out of their budget.
And another thing, there's point of fact, is 50% of that sales tax is paid by tourists in Osceola County. So, we're only getting half the.
Bring them on.
Yep.
So,
So it's a big tax, and if it's coming up for another vote, then now you can see, if you talk to people, you can see it's money well spent. Otherwise, this would have to come out of our budget, and
So,
that's
you wanna
crazy
talk
money.
about the calculation we did?
sure. In reviewing that, just kind of trying to share with the public, what its uses are and everything, that was also a strategy, right? We're projected right now, at $5 million based on the agreement. But actual in the bank right now, we're already slotted to hit cash in hand $7 million. An additional strategy we did, with the city manager kind of prepping because he had this noise coming, hey, it could sunset and it could end, right? The strategy was we had a lot more bigger projects in the 120 that would really, really hurt us if it went away. So we did fleet and vehicles and infrastructure in that way. In the event that it did and this contract didn't go through, we could easily pivot. It would still hurt, right, because it's major. And like you see right now, we're projected well beyond 7 million. So it continues to grow. Like the city manager says, we did the calcs. Most of it is based on population and the incorporated and the 2/3 of the population that we make up for Osceola County. So there's a formulation for that. And then this interlocal agreement gives us our percentage share based on that agreement's stipulations. So it's very significant. Normally runs 5 to, again, now topping off at almost $7 million. So it looks promising, but in the event, we try to, put plans in place for that.
So the other thing, I had Wendy do was look at what is the cost if we lose that? It's 2.5 mil increase you'd have to do to make up that revenue.
Oh, 5, 4, and up to.
Or reduce your level of service, quality of life, so.
So there's only, with those calcs that the city manager wanted to, and just factoring that we haven't had a millage increase in, 9 years. Think of cost increasing, so we've been able to run operations with double the size of payroll, double the size of cost, with no millage increase, no new revenue source. Thank God people are starting to travel and we get those tax, incentives and prorations. And right now, we would lose $1.9 million if we went to the rollback rate, right? And that would cause, a citizen right now at a taxable value of about $249,000, which is the median right now, a savings of $100 a month, almost like $1,000 for the year. Not saying it's not worth it, right? But you cut almost $2 million of services, or you need to increase to sustain two and a quarter mils.
$100 a year.
$100 a year. Yeah, sorry. A month.
Do we have,
Sorry.
do we have
$100 a
a,
I'm like, wait a second.
do we have a tourist tax on any of our,
The county has a
Business-
tourist development tax, and we don't have any programs currently that are as eligible for that. Now, they do some sponsorships for some events for us with that TDT fund, but, I think Mr. Urban sits on their board. But like I said, we're trying to figure out how we can get programs in place to get some of that money. It was significantly impacted over COVID, as you know, but it's coming back strong. So.
Do you think if we got maybe a major hotel, that would help?
Yeah, that's, we've been trying to do that for 5 years.
That's-
Probably
that's
before I was.
That's what's gonna generate that tax,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's coming, I promise, one day,
Hold my breath.
in the near future.
Page 253, this is your capital projects for fiscal year 2022-23 funded by source and the description of the project. In anything PR, Parks and Rec, this is for trail extensions to Chisholm, Chisholm Park Master Plan, Hopkins Park Master Plan, and part in Triangle Park. A totality there, I think I said in the earlier budget brief, it was about $3 million or so, coming from the park impact fees for those PR projects. Fire Station 35, there's your build for public safety, using the 1% fund, $4.5 million of that, and then $3 million in impact. This is debt-free, paid money, right? Now, we got to factor the fact that we're not in construction, we're not on build, those costs, we're going to try to mitigate those things and hope, we can grab those as they go. But for this funded year, because it's a multi-year project, $7.5 million. Modular office for the PD, $415,000. This is using police impact fees. In the category of paving, $1.2 million. That's going towards the master plan paving, and we expect to do this across 5 years as funding more gas tax, paving dollars. But conservatively, we've targeted $1.2 million year over year across the 5-year capital plan. And this is this year's funding. Finally, the mobility fund will be funding miscellaneous road connections, 10th Street Complete Streets, the Michigan Avenue PAD project, the Massachusetts extension, the Creekwoods Drive extension, the 17th Street extension, and the 5th Street upgrades, all for $2.9 million in mobility for this funded year.
And just note on those projects, many of those, that's just year one, like engineering work. Those total projects are well in excess of $10 million. So like when you see a big fund balance in mobility, these projects are going to start eating it up in the following years.
So remember, this is showing you capital projects for the funded year, so. Page 254, that's just your taxable property valuation sheet. This is coming from the Office of the Tax Collector. And as you see, 2022 millage rate at 5.1128, what amount was levied or collected projected, and the percent on it, which is 95.6.
And
This-
that percentage is up to almost 100 now. this,
99.5?
right, when we completed this spreadsheet, it was 95.6, but we got another load of tax dollars, so it's about 99.5 now, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yep, so we're at 99.5 there. Finally, page 255, this is a new visual for you. We simplified fund balance. Fund balance computation for the general fund for fiscal year 2022. So our projected fund balance at the end of 21-22 projected 18,500,000. You subtract all the current year projected year-end open encumbrances, which we project to be about $2 million. You take the 8,600,000, with this is your GFOA recommended minimum fund balance to support operations. You're left with a projected available and unrestricted fund balance in the general of $7.9 million. Great news. Now factor in the budgetary part. $7.5 million revenue call, right, for budget to balance, leaving us realistically $400,000 in remaining fund balance that's not budgeted, okay? So we are working to increase those revenues, like I told you, and those reserves, right? But we wanted to place a really realistic picture of how that works. Reason why we're not in compliance is because the $7.5 million is a budgetary tool. We've never used it, never had actual expenditures, never needed to. But if it were to happen, all cylinders on and stuff, this could be the outcome. So we just want to give you a good picture of what it really looks like, okay? And that is your fund balance. There was a reprint of the capital projects on
In
256.
case you missed it, 2 pages.
Yes, in case you want to read it again. And then page 257, again, is all projected fund balance for every fund. And I just wanted to put you in the back with us to see how these calcs are done. Again, unaudited. These are just projections, but we feel pretty confident about them. And you can go through every fund. Like I said, I just mentioned the general fund, way it works. Beginning balance as of that opening of the fiscal year in 21, 15,000,004. We estimate our revenue and any other sources, which at 55,1. Then we estimate as well expenditures and other sources at 52. There's an excess or a deficit, in this case, a excess of 3,014,245. We project that our beginning fund balance for 10/1/2022 is going to be 18,501,000. The projected net increase and decrease in fund balance based on the activity of the year, we're projecting at 9.5 mil, with a projected end balance at 9/30/2023 of 9,001,217. Okay, well beyond what we needed. A total, there's your note of 7.5 million of current fund balance. The GFOA requirement is 8.6. We're projecting 9.1. We're well ahead of that. And we continue to grow this and be even further ahead as we push towards 16.5%. I just want to ensure that all cylinders are on before we put that in policy and can actually do that. We expect to do that right now because we have some additional funding from like the American Rescue Tranche, the savings in payroll, right? And as things streamline, we should be putting a certain amount per every dollar earned. The remainder are all your funds, just with the same kind of analysis and projected. Again, I remind you, it's unaudited. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the 2022-23 City of St. Cloud proposed budget. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Any questions I may answer or any other comments we may take?
Kudos to your staff. Wow. Feel like I've been standing under Niagara Falls.
Us too.
You know, this starts in January, so
Yeah.
it takes many, many months to,
And all the directors actually are intricately involved in this process. They're actually the ones who start this process. We open up their budgets to them, and they do all the initial analysis. And, you know, they're keying in their departmental budgets, so a lot of the work goes on before it actually, like, comes to us. So, I mean, it's really one big group effort, and, you know, I think they've done well in streamlining their processes and where we charge things and how much we charge, and that's why you see a little bit of a decrease, because as a whole, we've gotten more efficient, and that's everybody.
Our push is to continue to be educative versus authoritative, because the more knowledge they have, the stronger we are, with them. We've had some shining stars that just kind of come in and, everybody just puts an effort that is unmeasurable, trying to get this thing as best. Like I said, we always say budget is an art form. And so this is, hopefully a little masterpiece and gets us through. And we're faring well with 21, 22, so we feel more confident than ever with 22, 23. It's bittersweet because unfortunately I won't get to do it with Mr. Sturgeon, but I'll send him a budget package just in case he misses it or something.
All right.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, the process is now is, once, if you have any thoughts or anything that stood out that you want to make a recommendation to change or adjust or look at, we can discuss it now. We'll adjourn the meeting, call for the final meeting, and then recommendations. I recommend the blah, 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 with the exception of blah, blah, blah. If there is, I'm just giving you kind of how, and then we'll have a second, boom, meeting's done.
You're saying to give us a little time to review this, and then we're going to meet later
No,
or tonight?
this is,
So we,
yeah, we've listened to everything. If you have any questions that you want to bring up to them now in this meeting, because when we shift to meeting 3, it's a vote.
okay.
So this is now, we're gonna discuss, is there anything you heard that you go, hey, what about, again, you guys, as usual, did a bang-up job, so, I mean, it's the streamline from what it was in the past till now is, you're just being spoiled, you don't know it. So,
Any recommendation you would make will be shared with the city council in their workshop, which is Monday.
Right.
yeah,
And
so
then
I
they
asked
make
when-
the final
Monday.
call on what it's going to be, and then I make whatever adjustments, if any, and then that becomes the budget advertisement, which will be in the Orlando Sentinel on September the 18th for our final budget meeting, which is on the
So the city
21st.
council meeting then is Monday, you say?
That
the
is
first.
correct.
Then we're gonna still
That's
make a
their workshop.
recommendation.
That's their workshop, not
That starts
the,
a what time's that meeting?
3?
3 p.m. on August 1st.
I had to get off work early, I like
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
that's just their workshop. The official first reading of the budget is on Wednesday, September 7th at 6 p.m. And then the second reading is on Wednesday, September 21st at 6 p.m. And the second meeting, as required by law, will be advertised in the Orlando Sentinel on Sunday, September 18th.
Which one did we attend then?
We attend the Monday meeting, we come in,
Make a
if you're able to
recommendation.
make it, that's fine, if you're not, that's fine as well, but that's where we would, I just very briefly say we had our meeting, and this was our recommendations, and if you are able, whoever makes it, they get a name with a face, and get to meet who you were. Very, very brief intro and discussion, and then we move on and just say, hey, this is what we recommended as a team, and we move on from there. It's a very brief process, so if you're able, great. If you're not, completely understand. It's nothing, that's not part of our meeting process. Our meeting was our first meeting. This is budgetary stuff, so that we just are gonna finish up. So, anybody have anything that stood out that needs to be considered? I know there's talk of the millage and things like that. We're staying with the 5.1, I believe it is. Again, 9th year without an increase, so unless, somebody had some, hey, let's increase the millage or something, and then we'd have to vote as that as well, which these are just recommendations, so if they're,
Well, you know, from a year ago, in my estimation, been tremendous strides over some of my concerns back then, which obviously was the cybersecurity, was the staffing of our police department and so forth, and being able to have the resources, so, you know, getting the body cams and all of those things. Those are things was my concern a year ago, and still remains a major concern for the getting the equipment for the fire, you know, both stations and the trucks and on and on and on. And so I think there's been tremendous improvement on addressing those concerns from a standpoint of just what people talking about and so on and so forth is obviously being able to manage this incredible growth that is taking place by almost, 1,000 a day or 500 a day coming in. And that is a huge job, being able to manage that. And looking at the road thing, which is more of a county project, I guess, Canoe Creek and on and on and on and on. That's the major thing I'm hearing from my people I associate with. And some of them are pretty high class, regardless of what you think. No, but that's a major concern when, I mean, I've waited to simply go from Winn-Dixie up to Gethsemane Park Road during a school day. I'd rather go have a root canal. But, so those are the things that we've
I
have to
will,
look at.
I will, if I could share with the committee, my commitment has always been to tell you the questions that maybe you should think about. And I will say that while the budget is, I think, very well vested for stability, I think that something to think about would be that we deliver on those results. Like you're saying, we've delivered on certain things that you asked a year ago. We're not done yet. We don't know the uncertainty of the economy. So test us on that. And we need to monitor, you know, and make sure, and what plans are we thinking in the future that are going to streamline, because we can't be hair on fire. You know, we know what's happening, right, with the supply and whatever, what are we going to do? So I challenge you to challenge us to come up with those strategic plans and continue to align the city as we have with the city manager's vision, and as we get ready to make other transitions. What are we going to do to have solutions? How are we going to measure this? You should be asking for long-term financial planning, and how does that look in reality? Like, I've given you the budget and we've given you the budget. Ask us for actual review of the performance of that. That's some suggestion, you know, to make this budget fair and make it, you know, equitable, you know, and also proactive, so that we could stop being reactive every day. So those are just my food for thought for the committee. That is the piece we're working on. Our budget analyst, Ms. Amar, she does an exceptional job, and we're trying to get more data analytics out there, you know, to continue. Like I said, the budget award is something that we got, but it's harder to keep that A, so data analytics will get us there to know and really test this thing. One of the major concerns that we are looking at that causes me to lose a little sleep right now is you saw the PFM review and those unrealized losses, if they do realize, and what we're going to do. So just plans, I guess, long-term financial planning. So.
Okay.
Can I piggyback on his concerns? I think it's great that we're increasing the fire department personnel. What about police? We're annexing
I
so
can
much into
speak
the
on
city.
that. We actually have applied for an additional COPS grant for up to, I believe it's 6 new police officers. We don't know where we stand with that, so it's not included in the budget. But we are at 97 staffed in the police department, and for our sworn officers as of Monday. We have 3 new officers starting Monday, so we
So
only
if
have
this-
3 vacancies in the police department for sworn officers.
So if this grant doesn't go through, would a small increase in the millage rate help with that? Just, I'm not saying some huge, but if we can just get a few more officers on the road.
So if I could answer, so several years ago, we had Matrix come in and do a Matrix study and marched out over the next 10 years. And actually, it didn't call for an increase in officers. Our new police chief, who I support his idea, wants to have a power shift to kind of gaps, as you know, working their shifts. There's got to be some coverage time in there. So he's working on that, so we support that. Hopefully, we'll get the grant, but like I said, Matrix did not call for additional staffing this year. Now, next year and the year after, it starts calling for staffing. And they looked at population fund, they didn't look at funding, they only looked at population and calls for service. So it really didn't talk about funding. That's the one thing that they missed in the study, is that it costs money to do that. So, but I said, they've been operating for several years down, 8 to 10 officers consistently.
And they are getting 2 additional supervisory positions. One is a sergeant to lead the swing shift. So they're getting a lieutenant and a sergeant.
A good football coach is a good recruiter, and our new police chief's a great recruiter. He's out there at the academies, the graduations, pulling them off stage, going, hey, you want to come work for me? And he's done a real good job. He's only been here 7 months. He's doing awesome. So we'll keep continuing to work with him and make sure we public safety is the number one service that the city provides, and we're going to continue working in that way.
Are we taking into consideration the population growth within the next few years when we're budgeting for additional staffing for the police and?
Yeah, that's part of that Matrix study. They looked at that and basically calls for service. And we know, obviously, population increases, calls for service for both fire, police, and EMS continue to go up. And we're starting to see, that's why we got to put an additional fire station on. So we're looking at the same aspects of public safety for the police also.
And also communication operators, we're looking for
That's
that too.
correct. And so, as you know, that comes back to, a facility. We're tapped out right now, facility. I think we added a couple people a couple years ago.
Last year.
Yeah, last year. But again, now we're tapped out on facility. So I've tasked the police chief. The first facility I think we need to build is a new comm center, EOC, and kind of phase in the public safety complex. And that's the first thing. And he's got that in his mind to start working on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any concerns?
I was just looking at the public work collection on page 191, and the allocated admin charges is $319,000. I'm surprised that is higher than the vehicle maintenance and the vehicle fuel overage.
181, 449.
The administrative,
I mean, I'm not sure what
public works for sanitation.
I'm not sure what that was for.
The allocated admin charges?
Yeah.
It's the support charges provided by Human Resources, Finance, the city manager's office.
Oh, so
And it's
there-
all allocated based upon different factors, percent of the number of staff in that area as compared to the entire city, percent of requisitions that are sent through procurement, percent of invoices paid by finance, and so forth. And every year that the administrative costs go up due to salary increases, increase in medical, and so forth, a percentage of those charges are passed on to the enterprise funds.
Yeah, I just didn't see any other department that had that big of a swing for that, that's all.
In the admin allocated charges?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
solid waste.
Yeah, well, one of them is those factors that the deputies outline, and it depends on the amount of support. They may have more, let's say, assets that need support, FA, they may have more purchase orders that they're producing. Their support levels may be different. It's based prorated on that, so that's probably why it came out a little higher, is that their support element may be different than, for example, stormwater. Stormwater may be generating, 15, let's say, POs a month or something like that, call it a number, and they're producing 100, right? So that changes the percentage rates. It's the support to their business.
And just as a side note, we're going to have to revisit the administrative allocation process, but we're losing the water and sewer, of course, to Toho, and that's gonna cause the remaining enterprise funds to pay like a lot more than they are now even. So we're gonna have to revisit that for next year, like the whole computation process.
We're streamlining that a little better. You know, originally, we had admin allocation from the water utility, which we'll still keep for the transitional year. But, you know, it did significantly reduce down, but the increase came on the pilot side, right? We have a threshold and base of $3 million, no matter what. The economy tanks, we got $3 million guaranteed. We expect with the amount of accounts that are going through, we'll well exceed $3 million just on our sales and growth, right? But the adjustment to the other enterprises will happen. So there's going to be, transition is not just shifting, it's going to be the transition to the city that we're not, a lot of people look at it as, oh, well, we won't have that work to do. But really, we've been working at this level. We're going to levelize maybe where we should. That's going to take a little bit. There's still going to be expenditure and kind of like the cost to do business until we levelize for that. So this will have another realignment. This was an inherited methodology on how to do cost allocations too. You know, we like to rock and roll it a little bit better and stuff like that. We're going to fine tune it a little bit more and get more precise with some buffers we feel are adequate to make sure that we're not gouging the enterprises either, because, you know what I mean, we got to make sure it's fair and equitable to the services they receive. So we're constantly working on that. Our deputy city manager, she's always on it with us, making sure we're capturing everything, keeps us honest with that. So it's like our private project for her to make sure we get it always right, as best as we can, so.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm good.
Everyone good with all right, so basically formulate some type of motion, what you want to say or how you want to say it. I'll call when I'll adjourn it, reopen the third meeting, call for a vote, call for a motion first. If you have something, hey, I accept the budget for what was presented, except for, or I'd like to, or whatever, or just I accept the budget, recommend that we approve the budget that was presented. Boom, second, all in favor, and we're done.
I say I propose that we accept the budget as been presented. Is that what you want to hear, right?
That
Okay.
would be, if that's, that would be fine if that's something you
I'll
would.
second.
I
And
would,
then you would second it, and
Okay.
if everyone is good with that.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll second it.
I would make that proposal.
Anybody have any before we adjourn? We come back,
Yeah.
we're not leaving, but I'm just, once I transition out of this into the next one. We good? All right. My notes. All right. I'd like to adjourn the Finance Committee Budget Review Workshop for the 22-23 budget year. And then I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee final budget meeting for 22-23 budget first. Losing my train of thought. Would you please call roll?
Chairman Reinhardt,
Here.
Vice Chairman Hoagland,
Present?
Member Brooks,
Here.
Member Streeter,
Here.
Member Iglesias.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. As we spoke of just a second ago, we've gone through the whole process at this point, and I think we've clarified everything that we've had or questions that we've had. If there is no more questions or concerns, the chair will take a motion.
I would make the motion that we accept the budget as it has been presented to us with an exclamation of kudos for the outstanding work of putting together an incredible package.
I have a recommendation for to approve the budget that was presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right.
I would just propose to the fact of coming back and being able to visit some of the facilities
we'll make sure that.
Yeah,
that
that's,
happens.
that's gonna be in the process. Again, the call was made
Yeah.
to getting new members. It's, once everyone's here, then we can start moving forward.
We no
with,
longer have the water department to look at then, right?
You can still look at it if you want.
drive by. So, I just want to thank everybody, the new members, for this, taking this time. As you can see, this has been so streamlined. We started a little earlier. You guys, as usual, did an awesome job. Bill, a sign of a good leader is to leave better than you started, and you've done that. So congratulations on
Thanks,
your
sir.
new career, but thank you for what you've done so far. And your team, outstanding.
Thank you.
Great budget, a reduction with increases for salaries across the board's tremendous. And kudos to everybody, but I wish you the best. You've done a great job over COVID and getting through all this, so, and a lot of things personally that you've done. I just commend you for your service. So,
Thank you, Chairman.
if there is no more, anything else, meeting adjourned.
Good job, Chief.